I have a very cunning plan. So cunning that it's more cunning than my last cunning plan. It is very cunning. Hello and welcome to this World Anvil video. My name is Guy and today we're looking at the plot template. But it's not the same plot template that we've looked at before. If we go into the plot template, and I have it right here in front of me or behind me as you can see, there's a new thing that's been added if you have the RPG mode activated for your subscription. Now we have this here that says adventure and adventure phase. Now adventure is the main and most important sort of component, I would say, of your plot. So you've got your usual stuff and there's more coming on this as well, so look out for that. But if we go into adventure, it adds in this whole new section which I'm going to take you through very quickly, because what this is going to do is not only is it going to help you refine your adventure more, but it is also going to help you with your timing, your pacing. So there's a lot of things that are going to come out of this. Now when we look at the objective, when you come up with an adventure, every adventure should have an objective. There should be a reason as to why the adventure is happening, not just oh well, because I want an adventure. Yeah, about what? For what? What's it doing? Is it entertaining the players? Is it achieving your master plot? Is it exploring your characters' backgrounds? What is the objective of the adventure? So each adventure should have an objective. And that objective could be to reveal the piece of the sword that needs to be rebuilt in order to slay the giant dragon. So it's a very small little component, a very simple mission statement, if you like. What is the objective of the adventure? What is the theme of your adventure? When we talk about having a giant plot, when we talk about having a grand campaign, generally you're going to have a theme that runs through it. Is it love conquers all? Is it perhaps the triumph of the spirit within? Perhaps it's something as diabolical as evil wins, except when good does, because then evil doesn't. Whatever your theme is, you should remind yourself of it and continuously refer back to it. It's going to help you to make a better adventure. It really will. Excuse me. So our theme needs to be put in. Our type. There are 4 types. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as World Anvil is concerned, there are 4 types of adventures that you can have. Why is it important to break adventures down into types? We don't like typecasting here! Well, we do, actually, because it helps our jobs become a lot easier as game masters or as designers of adventures. And by breaking it into these 4 different categories, we can see which category we did last time and then do a different category this time. In other words, it helps us to change up our adventures so they don't all feel the same. Oh, it's another one of these. Oh, it's another one of that. So we've got 4 different types. We've got thwarting, delivering, collecting, and discovering. And each one of those has a different kind of tone to it, doesn't it? Thwarting means you are defeating the enemy or preventing something from happening. Delivering means you are taking something from point A and dropping it off at point B, and all of the adventures that you have thereupon. Collecting means that you need to get to a place, collect the object, and then get back again. So there's a different tone, a different flavor to the delivering type of adventure. And then discovering is where literally you are uncovering an ancient secret, exploring a new nebula, charting uncharted waters. So those are 4 very broad stroke types of adventures. So you select which one this is going to be, and then you move on. When you look at the focus, what is the focus of this adventure? Is it master plot, so it centers around your actual main campaign? Is it a character plot, so it's something that the characters are wanting to explore in their own backstories? Is it other? Other being, this is an adventure that I'm giving my players because I feel like it's going to be a fun ride, you were inspired whilst in the shower, this is going to be cool. It's an other adventure. It doesn't link to the master plot, it doesn't link to the characters' backgrounds, it's just something fun. What type of adversary are they going to be facing? Is it the nemesis of your major plot, your major campaign? Is it one of those big showdown kind of set-piece adventures? Is it just a villain, a once-off who's going to make the lives miserable for the players, or maybe they're reoccurring and they're coming back? Is it a henchman, literally someone who is going to be part of this adventure and then probably never seen again? What do we expect from this adventure? If we know what our objective is, and we know what our theme is, and we know what the type of adventure is, well, and we then also know what is the focus, and we know who the main adversary is, what do we expect? If it's the nemesis and the focus is on delivering, and our theme is, say, love triumphs all, is it about delivering the princess, unbeknownst to the characters, to the nemesis for the nemesis's wedding? So when they arrive, they're like, yay, we have defeated all of the things that were put in our path to get the bride here. We deliver the bride to, oh God, it's the nemesis. Oh! And now we move into the next adventure, which is now perhaps getting away, thwarting, discovering why the bride was given to the nemesis in the first place, all those kinds of things. So our expectations are directed and guided by these other categories beforehand. It's a very powerful tool to allow things to be a little bit easier for you. What must the players learn? So we might have the objective that the players get this piece of a sword, or they deliver the princess to the villain. What do they actually have to learn? What do they have to walk away with at the end of the adventure? Is it that the nemesis now has a bride? Is it that the sword is broken into 5 pieces, not just 1 or 2 pieces as they originally thought? What must they learn? Again, it's just helping you to make sure that if the players derail the adventure, if they go in a completely different tangent, when you look at your adventure notes, you can come back and say, okay, but this is what they needed to learn. This is what they needed to understand. Okay, I can still do it. I can still bring that information into this now new adventure, which is caves and bears. I can still get them that information if I tweak the ending slightly by now, instead of them reading an old book in the library of the princess, they can now read this old book buried at the bottom of the cave. So how do I tweak it? How do I twist it? 10 names. This is easy. Just write down 10 names for NPCs that you might need throughout the adventure. Very, very strange. Very, very simple, I should say. Not straining you in any way. We're trying to remove the burden of coming up with stuff on the fly. Then, how does the outcome change our master plot? Does it? If it's related to the master plot and that sword was meant to be retrieved and the players didn't retrieve it, or they destroyed it, if it was delivering the bride and she died halfway along the way, what does that do to your master plot? Does it change its course slightly? Does it mean that it stays on course, or does the villain have to completely rethink their entire strategy? These are notes for yourself, obviously, that you can add in. When we then start to break down the actual adventure itself, so we've kind of got this mash of stuff that we need to know. An adventure in the very first act, you could imagine that this is your first session, if you like. You need to introduce the goal, you need to introduce the enemy, and you need to introduce the situation. So the goal in case of, say, our princess is, the princess needs to be delivered to this castle. We now know the goal. How do we deliver that? How do we do that? That's where we make these notes here. We say, right, this is the old noble who beseeches the party to deliver the daughter to the tower on the other side of the kingdom. We need to introduce the enemies. Not necessarily first, maybe it could be first. Maybe the party are busy fighting off bandits. They arrive at town. The old noble says, please deliver my daughter to the far town, protect her from the bandits. They know about the bandits, so now they're going to protect her from the bandits. Maybe you keep it for later, in which case they're in town, they get the quest, and then they head out and they start encountering bandits. However you like to play it, none of these are fixed in any particular order. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 is obviously, but what happens within them can be changed around, generally speaking, to suit your narrative style. So how are you going to introduce the enemy? How are you introducing the goal? And then what is the situation? So what is the basic situation that the PCs find themselves in? Is it monsoon season? Is it a fantasy village that's filled with elves? Is it a spaceport that has no imperial presence on it? What's the situation, and how are you going to introduce that to your players? Act 2 is the bulk of your adventure and could possibly be 2 sessions long. This is where you have your setup journey, where things start to take place. The players' characters start to face off against the villains. They start to learn that the villains are more organized, that there's a giant cult of villains who want to sacrifice the princess rather than let her get delivered to the tower. In the first attempt, they try to get through, but they get thwarted, they get defeated by the bandits. The bandits perhaps capture the princess and will hive off to their hidden hideout, where the players will have to go and rescue that princess. Again, none of this is posing too much of a difficulty in terms of thinking, because we're just following everything that has been established beforehand. Act 3, the false ending and the final showdown, is entirely up to you if you want to have both or just one. I would, if you want both, that gives you another 2 sessions. So now you've got a 5-session adventure, assuming your sessions are 4 hours long. If your sessions are shorter, you might have a few more. If your sessions are longer, you might have a few less. Nonetheless, Act 3 is where you conclude everything. The false ending is where the bride is delivered to the wonderful, wonderful, loving prince who's smiling, and as the party is riding away, they get attacked one last time by bandits, who reveal, now for our final showdown, you've just delivered her to one of the greatest vampires this land has ever known. He's awfully charming. Well, I'm all for you. You cut their heads off because they're bandits. Now the party has to go back to the tower to rescue the princess and to face off against that villain. They do so, the princess is saved, and now they can return back home. What a wonderful adventure where you got a little bit of side arcing into the banditry stuff, and all because you were just following through on this template. And then finally, what have you seeded? What did you set up? What have you established? There was a vampire. Who did he come from? Did he have any thralls? What was the red slipper that he made the bride wear? Why was that so important? Anything that you've seeded, you can then just drop and jot down in here and keep track of it. That, in brief and very short, is the new adventure template that has been added to World Anvil in collaboration with How to Be a Great GM. It's a really, really useful, very simple way of laying out an adventure to remind you of what you need to add and to keep you on track and to help you overcome those, oh, I've got an adventure session in half an hour, what do I do? Fill in one of these templates and you'll be golden. Anyway, until next time, light up the forge!